Ready to take your inspections to the next level? Let's look at a few tips for calculations. Calculations are a great way to save you and your team time while delivering accurate results. This tutorial builds on our introductory calculations video by exploring a few tips and tricks. If you're new to the feature, search Create Calculation Response Questions in our Help Center. There are a few ways to enhance your calculations. For example, rather than spending the time entering zeros in questions that don't need to be answered, you can simply skip those questions by setting a default value of 0 or any number. Additionally, we can get accurate averages with repeat sections. This is especially helpful when the number of items you need to measure is always changing. For each value you need to input, just add a question, and your average will be calculated correctly every time. Now let's take a look at how to set up these optimized calculations. Head to Templates. Let's edit an existing template. You'll need Conduct Edit access to make changes to your template. Let's start by adding a default value. Here we have a calculation that sums questions 1 through 3. If I don't answer question 3, the calculation doesn't work. Let's edit the calculation to include a default value. To make changes to a calculation, click Edit Formula. I'll clear the original formula. Then go to Functions and select Default Value. Within the parentheses, I'll reference question 1 by typing a $, followed by the question name. Then enter a comma, and I'll add a default value of 0. Depending on the context, you can make the default value any number you'd like. To save time completing your formula, you can copy your first function. Then simply paste for each question you need to add. Now change each question by removing the original. In this case, I'll delete measurement 1 and change it to measurement 2. Then I'll do the same for measurement 3. Don't forget to add the operator between each function. In this case, the plus signs. Save your calculation, and let's check our work in the mobile preview. Perfect! Even though one of the questions is unanswered, the calculation works. Next, let's create a flexible average calculation with repeat sections. If you set up a simple average calculation based on a fixed number of questions, it doesn't work if you're not answering each question. For example, let's say I don't need to answer question 3, so I enter a 0. That creates an average of 3 values, including the 0, where I actually only need the average of 2. For this scenario, we can use a repeat section to handle a variable number of items. Click here to add a section. Enter a title, then check Repeat this section. This question is where the user will input each value. I'll name the question, then change the type of response to number. I'll move my total average question under the section. If you prefer, you can even have this question on a different page. Now we can create the calculation. Change the format to calculation. Now select the average function. Then select your question from the repeat section, indicated by this icon. And click Save and Apply. Let's test it out. We already have a question ready from creating a repeat section earlier. I'll answer it, and then we can add a section for each value we need to input. For this example, I'll input a total of 3 values. Fantastic! Our average is automatically calculated. You can also have any calculated answer rounded to a specific decimal point by including it in your formula. First, click the beginning of the formula. Then select the round function. Move average within round. Similar to a spreadsheet, I'll add an additional parenthesis because we have 2 functions combined. Add a comma, then enter the decimal place you want to round to. For example, I want to round to the nearest hundredth, so I'll enter 2. Complete the calculation with a parenthesis, and click Save and Apply. Great, now the calculated answer is rounded. By using these tips, like default values and repeat sections, you can save your team time, ensure your data is always accurate, and make your inspections more efficient. To learn more about creating formulas and using functions, search calculations in our Help Center. For this and more on templates, head to help.safetyculture.com.